A lot of artists think that lighting is just there to make things look pretty or to add the finishing touch on whatever it is that you're painting. But light has so much more to offer. It can guide the viewer's eye, strengthen your composition, and even push the story you're trying to tell. Honestly, it's one of the biggest differences between an okay piece of art and an amazing one. So in today's video, we're going to break down some of the most important aspects of lighting, show you how it affects mood, and go over a few mistakes that you'll want to avoid if you want your paintings to really stand out from the rest. So why does lighting matter? When you look at a great piece of art, or at least when I look at a great piece of art, the lighting usually comes down to three main things: direction, intensity, and colour. First of all, direction. Where the light comes from completely changes the emotion. Top-down or three-quarter lighting feels natural and balanced. Like daylight shining through a window, it just makes things readable and approachable. Whereas lighting that comes from below usually feels very creepy or tense. Think of police interrogation scenes or telling ghost stories around a campfire. You'll see a lot of this lighting setup used in thrillers and horror movies. Backlighting can make things feel very dramatic and almost heroic, and it can create strong silhouettes that emphasize shape and form. And side lighting can create a lot of mystery or tension by hiding part of your subject in shadow, almost like you're only getting half of the story. Number 2. Intensity or contrast. This is about how strong or weak your light source is. Low contrast lighting feels soft, calm, and often peaceful. Imagine a foggy morning or, an overcast sky where there isn't much sun and there's barely any shadows. On the flip side, high contrast lighting really cranks up the drama, like sunlight streaming through a window in the evening, casting those really strong, sharp shadows that hit your eye immediately. And finally, colour. Just like with colour temperature, the colour of your light changes the mood instantly. Warm light sources like sunset orange or indoor lamps can create a cosy and inviting atmosphere, or even make the scene feel energetic and lively. And cool light sources like moonlight or overcast daylight can feel distant, eerie, or even a little sad. You can even mix the two carefully. A warm key light with a cool fill can create a sort of depth or complexity and really enhance the mood. Now let's talk about what not to do. Here are the three biggest mistakes beginners make when it comes to lighting. First of all, there's flat lighting. This is where everything is evenly lit. The shadows are weak and the highlights just don't really stand out. The result? There's no drama, there's no depth, and there's definitely no mood or emotion. An easy fix for this is just to push the contrast. Make the lights lighter and the shadows darker. Create a clear separation between light and shadow so the subject feels solid and grounded. Number 2. Confusing light sources. When you throw in too many different lights or your shadows are pointing in completely random directions, the whole painting just seems to fall apart. Instead of adding mood, everything just looks messy and inconsistent. The best way to overcome this is by limiting yourself. Choose one main light source for your image and make sure all shadows and highlights follow it. Any secondary light sources should be kept subtle and intentional. And last but not least, overcomplicated light and shadow shapes. When you break the light and shadow into too many tiny pieces or you scatter little inconsistent shadows everywhere, the painting starts to feel extremely noisy and chaotic. Instead of guiding the viewer's eye, it just confuses them and it makes the whole image harder to read. Instead, you can simplify. Merge your shadows together in large shadow groups. Group large areas of light and dark and make the subject clear and readable. Here's a simple exercise that you can try. Take an everyday object, something like a chair or a coffee mug, or even like a vase, or a vase if you're American. Now paint it in different lighting setups. Every time you retry this exercise, try to mix something up. And make sure to use references if you're not sure. So you can change the type of light that you use. Maybe first try a sunny day, or choose an overcast kind of light, or maybe even something fluorescent or indoor. Also, consider changing the contrast as well. Make one that's soft and gentle, and after that you can make one that's very harsh and dramatic, or maybe even something in between. And finally, try messing around with different coloured lights, like a cool fill light against a warm key light, or even the other way around. You'll start to see how much the mood begins to shift, even though the object never changes. Now, let's see how this works in practice. Just like last time, we're going to be painting the same scene twice. But this time, to keep things fair, I think we'll keep the colour palette the same. The only difference being is going to be the lighting that we decide to use. The first version is going to be a lot more softer and calmer, so the contrast is going to be pretty low and the shadows are going to appear a lot more softer, and maybe even go with something like a simple top-down light or a 3/4 lighting setup. The second version is going to be much more dramatic. The shadows are going to appear a lot sharper and the contrast is going to be higher than before, and maybe even some backlighting to really make the subject pop. This way you'll see how the lighting alone can completely flip the mood of an image. Again, nothing is changing, we're just changing the lighting. So what did we learn? Lighting isn't just about making your art look pretty. It's one of the most powerful tools that you have at your disposal to create mood, depth and storytelling. Remember to always start simple. Focus on the direction the light is coming in, the intensity of the light source and the colour. Avoid the most common mistakes, and then practice until everything feels natural. And remember, just like with colour temperature, lighting isn't about hard rules, it's about learning the principles and those rules so you can bend them later. If you guys found this helpful, I'd really appreciate if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what kind of lighting you struggle with the most. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.